I dub thee a nerdy knight of the round, sworn defenders of all who oppress the nerd. Now, on to the round table. Listen to what they say, for their words will guide you.
It's another nerdy night as my round table joins me, Ben, the ridiculous Riddick, and my co-host Sam, DJ Fluffkins Chen. This is where Sam would usually say something, but he's not.
Oh, hey! I thought you were going to disparage me for a second.
No.
That usually what happens.
And Mike, the true creator of Dicritus, DeMarco. Tonight, guys, we have... I guess I could let Mike talk too.
You could.
Say hi, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
Guys, tonight we have a lot to talk about. We're talking about some April Fool's news. We're talking about the Alison Rapp incident with Nintendo and, of course, Square Enix.
Are we rapping about the Alison Rapp?
I don't think anyone wants to.
Oh, no white boy rap. Sorry.
No white boy rap, I'm sorry. But before we get into that, of course, let's start with the news.
All right. Well, this week's news segment is brought to you by the Internet. The Internet has been responsible for making every day April Fool's Day. As studies show that you're getting more gullible by the second. So I'm going to dive right into our special April Fool's edition of the news. Rocket League fans can now rejoice. Remember when your friend was schooling you in your favorite RC soccer game? Remember how hard it was to click the start button and then quit? Well, look no further, because Rocket League is releasing a Rage Quit bot, which will let you quit the game without having to do anything.
Yay!
Woohoo!
That's
we
great.
Suck at this game.
You know, speaking of huge egos, Sam, Nyko announced on Friday the Ego Booster Elite controller. This new controller has a brand new feature, the compliment button, so you can feel good about yourself all the time. It also comes with a toxicity filter for unwanted 12-year-old trash talk and a win button for insta-rage quitting. Why waste your life practicing to get better someday when you could feel better today?
I'm in for two, man. Two.
Two of them.
Dose egos.
Dose egos.
Well, Ben, are you a fan of Hearthstone?
Oh boy, am I.
Do you wish it was a little bit more realistic?
All the time.
Well, Blizzard announced on Friday that it would be spinning off Hearthstone into its very own MMO, where you too will get the opportunity to hone your craft in a world of war.
So when you say you too, do you mean like Bono?
Definitely.
Okay, good.
With the glasses.
Are you a lover, not a fighter? Well, you can now get into the exciting world of Worms with Worms Dating Revolution. Trade in the holy hand grenades to become the ultimate invertebrate love guru in full 1080p at 60 frames per second. Love has no boundaries in this cross-platform enabled game, and in case your date isn't hot enough, you're still packing a stick of dynamite.
Woo! That's hot. That's hot.
Yeah, it is.
That's hot. Well, we thought Sony was just working on the PSVR, but it turns out their crack team of scientists have also been diligently working on paranormal crime. That's right, Sony announced the release of its newest must-have hardware, the Proton Pack. Straight out of a Ghostbusters sequel, Sony will have you catching ghosts in no time.
Yeah, because, you know, Ghostbusters, so good. Are you a stalwart flight master feeling the pinch of all the travel options in Azeroth? Well, Blizzard has a new product that could give your business the jumpstart it needs. That's right, the newest app to enter World of Warcraft is Flight. Based on Uber and Lyft, all you have to do is whisper your destination to a central operator, and Flight automatically connects you with a nearby transporter who will get you where you're going via passenger mount or portal, faster and cheaper than ever.
Wait, Ben. Blizzard isn't the only company getting into the travel business. Square Enix announced this week a green alternative to all those portal emissions that ruin the climate. Chocogo is the newest ride-sharing app straight out of the Final Fantasy universe. This app allows you to call any color chocobo straight to wherever you are. All chocobos are autonomous, friendly, have built-in Wi-Fi connectivity, and most importantly, are emissions-free. Don't forget to tip your chocobo some extra greens.
Is this going to be the new douchebag Prius? The Chocobo? The Chocogo?
Hey, what'd you name your chocobo?
I didn't get to name it yet.
Oh.
I'm not that far.
I don't know if you can.
Okay.
At least not in this game.
Need ideas for gifts for the Nerdy Knights crew? Then look no further than Ode to Combat. That's right, Arma 3, everyone's favorite open-world military tactical shooter, is releasing a special fragrance specially designed for those who love risk-taking, with a unique blend of your primal instincts and the captivating scent of battle.
Smells good. Smells like something
victory.
Victory! It's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of victory, the butt pose is back. After getting the axe from Overwatch, Black Desert Online is adding the controversial pose free of cost with this week's weekly patch. A wider range of optional butt pose animations will be made available through the cast shop at a later stage, said the game's developer. I think this one was made specifically for Anita Sarkeesian, who constantly complains that men's butts aren't featured prominently enough in video games.
You know it.
You know it.
Sam also misses those men's butts in video games.
Baby got back. Just saying.
Assassin's Creed fans are in despair as the Templars have called it in. In a tweet to the Assassins, they wrote, quote, "Today we are ceasing all hostilities with your brotherhood. Honest. Pinky swear. We look forward to a future of continued cooperation between both sides. Love, the Templars. Hashtag totally not April Fools."
You know, I'm going to tell you, Ben, the Assassins didn't fall for it.
You know, I wouldn't expect them to. The Assassins have no sense of humor.
No sense of humor. Well, that's it for this week's news. If you didn't hear it here, it wasn't nerdy enough or funny enough for us to care.
You bet.
You bet.
You bet. All right, guys, let's move on to our next segment, and that is the Active Quest portion of the show, where we talk about the nerdy things that we have been doing over the last week. And as always, I like to start with Mike.
Always with me. I don't know.
It right in the show notes.
I've been doing a lot of editing for our stuff, like I always do.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Ben recorded some more Final Fantasy VII,
Mm-hmm.
and much of that conversation was about Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy Uncovered, which we'll get into later. But that's consumed the past 5 days of mine in my head.
You know. Speaking of Let's Play, where can people find Let's Play?
People can find Let's Play on nkrn.org/YouTube, which goes straight to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it does.
And it's my very first playthrough of Final Fantasy VII, and it's great.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll get into that later. Sam, what have you been up to?
Well, I don't want to admit it, but I bought a new toy.
What did you buy?
I bought the Here Active Listening earbuds. Essentially, you wear these and you can EQ the real world. You can turn up the bass, turn down the treble. There's actually a airplane mode that
Are you all about the bass? No treble?
Nope. Actually, I'm not all about the bass. It's really interesting. It definitely seems like the sort of thing you don't really need unless you're going to a lot of live music. But it's been really handy in meetings because you can tune it so it tries to focus on human speech. It's the sort of thing where you put it in and you're like, all right, this is kind of annoying. But then by the time you take it out, you're like, whoa, this was really helpful. I'd much rather hear the world this way.
This is very much a first step into biological tech.
Yeah.
I
mean, the only thing I don't like about it is because it's in your ear, it gives you that echo feeling when you talk.
Yeah.
I think I was in a restaurant for a couple hours and I didn't notice it after a little bit, but initially it's definitely one of those things where you're just oh, I just hear myself every time I talk. I don't hear other people. So, yeah. But it's cool. It's fun.
God, that sounds like something I need. I love hearing myself talk.
Ooh, that's true.
It's my favorite part about this microphone is I get to hear myself as I talk.
And you could get a pair for Lee so she could tune you out.
Ha, you're so funny. Look at Sam making his jokes.
All right,
He'll come
Ben.
back to bite you one day, Sam.
Speaking of jokes, what have you been up to last week?
You know, Sam, all week I started doing this thing where I'm trying to write something every day. So what I've been doing is I've been writing an article on nkrn.org every day, and I've been doing it for the past, I think I'm on day 6.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's going pretty well. Last night I wrote an article about my very first playthrough of any Final Fantasy game, which is with Mike during Let's Play podcast that's going on every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday as we speak.
It's like you want people to watch this show.
I do. It's a good show.
People are watching. It's great.
Yeah. I've also been writing a lot of comic book related things. I wrote some stuff about DC animated movies. I wrote about the Star Wars Rebels season 2 finale. Wrote about Marvel's upcoming books. I've written about DC's upcoming books. I've written a lot about comics and just stuff in the last 6 days, and it's pretty cool. Tonight, later on the site, there's going to be my Star Wars predictions post. Which
You're writing a lot about comics, Ben, huh? It's kind of like you host a comic show.
Nah.
No?
Nah.
Maybe that was just Anna.
Yeah, Anna does all the hard work there. But yeah, that's kind of been what I've been up to. You should definitely go check out those articles and let me know what you think. I am all about that constructive criticism.
All about that bass.
All about that bass. But let's go ahead and jump into our first topic of the night, and that topic starts with Sam's topic because, like his news, it was all about April Fools. So Sam, what do you want to talk about?
I think every year I don't really think I care about it, and then it gets around, and I love all of the stuff that happens online for April Fools and offline. I think at first I want to know what your favorite joke of all time is on April Fools. I will start with mine, which might steal it for a lot of people. I can't remember what year it was, but one year YouTube came out and said they were going to be releasing the entire archive of YouTube on DVD. And they shot this entire video of like loading the trucks with all these DVDs shipping to your door, and how you could like catalog them in your house and how much space it would take. It was so ridiculous, but so funny. It was great. What about you guys? Do you guys have a favorite April Fool's?
Go ahead.
Go for it. No, please.
I can't think of like a specific thing, but one of the ones I always look for every year is ThinkGeek. And they always put out a slew of fake products every year. And the two that come to mind specifically that I always remember, the first one is the Tauntaun sleeping bag, which became a real product because it was so popular. The joke was so popular, it became a real product. It happens. They usually pick like one every year almost. That
exactly.
Real. Yeah. Another year, one that I really liked that did not become real, and I know Ben's gonna not care, but they did the Lost machine, the numbers machine, where you had to put in the numbers every 108 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
That was awesome. I wish that one became real.
Yeah. All right, Ben.
I actually. It's not a real April Fool's prank, but what it was a couple years ago, Amazon announced the drone thing, but they announced it on April Fool's Day.
Yeah,
you're right.
So I thought that was just like one of the wittiest things ever. It's like, oh, this is a joke because it's April Fool's Day, and then you finish reading, it's like, this isn't a joke. It was.
Didn't the same thing happen last year with the dash buttons? Wasn't that announced on April Fool's?
Was it?
It was near April Fool's. Yeah. So like, it didn't seem like it was real, but that's a thing. Press a button and order stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That. I mean, I think they've had. Google always has like a good slew of them. I can't remember. Like YouTube this year was. Did you see Snoopavision?
Yes.
It's basically like every YouTube video was going to get re-recorded in 3D alongside Snoop Dogg. So you like turn to the side in your VR helmet, and there was Snoop Dogg.
Google also had that one a few years ago where they not YouTube, Google. They renamed Google to the name of the city in Kentucky because this city in Kentucky played a prank that they were renaming their city Google. I thought that was pretty funny. I will say one of the pranks that just it hurt me the most was IGN's prank. The Netflix, the Netflix original series that was what was it, the Vengeance of Maul or something like that,
right?
And it was a Darth Maul live action TV series on Netflix, and it's like they did an entire preview for it where they had that one Jedi from like Clone Wars who's a really good tracker and all that, and Darth Maul fighting. And it's just like, oh, this would be so awesome. And it's like I got the link for it, and I looked at the link, and I knew what day it was, so I think it was Citizen who sent it to me. Citizen PM on who's usually in the chat sent it to me, and I just responded, I'm not even going to look at it because it's just going to make me sad on the day of April Fools. So that made me sad.
Oh.
I hope Netflix sees how popular that is, though, and like Disney sees how popular that is. It's like, oh, we should probably do this. Except I'm sure they know that they should do this.
Do you guys remember the cat ad blocker one?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was basically like, I think it was AdBlock Plus or one of the AdBlock plugins. Instead of blocking ads, they replaced all of the ads with cat pictures, cat memes.
Yeah.
It was great. And I think it was like Can House Cheeseburger memes, which was my favorite version of the cat meme. Did you guys see Google's or Gmail mic drop?
Yeah.
No.
Do you see
they
that
had to
people?
apologize for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Google or Gmail had added a feature where you could say send and mic drop, just like you could send an archive, which would respond with a meme of a minion dropping a mic, but would also mute the thread.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So people weren't able to see new emails in the thread, and I guess like some stupid but unknowledgeable people use that with like work emails.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Turned out bad, but it's still pretty funny.
Real quickly, Moocher in the chat wants to point out that I assume the guy in the bottom left is Mike because
yes, it is. I'm the bottom left.
It's Mike. Has the perfect anime character look going with the headphones and the glare on the glasses. 10 out of 10. He loves it.
Awesome.
Mike, you need one of those. You need like the light up ear headphones
that you can control with your brain.
Yes, those two. I'm
controlling these fingers with my brain.
Congratulations.
You have a brain.
So something I wanted to talk about when it came to April Fools, at least, was what do you guys think about the idea that, I mean, granted, I've never really considered April Fools a big deal ever. What it is now isn't really April Fools anymore. It's just, more than anything, it's us seeing what these companies come up with to just show for a day. And it's not really an April Fool's thing. It's just like them having
like an ad day.
Really, like
funny.
them doing something that's funny, trying to bring attention to themselves.
Right. I have to say, I mean, I kind of like where April Fool's has gone. It's kind of a day where I know for sure at least one person's gonna make me laugh.
Yeah,
I will. I will also say that I still try to do the a random prank here and there. This year, this is actually pretty terrible. I work in a pet hospital, for those of you who don't know, and there's this one woman I work with who does the best April Fool's pranks. So this year, we had some blood from the previous day that we were just going to throw out. So she took the tube that the blood was in. She walked around the corner of the hospital, made a loud bang sound on one of the counters, and then kicked a chair, and then spilled the blood all over herself. And she comes walking around the corner and is like, oh, and like the doctor and one of the owners of the hospital just like starts freaking out and goes to run over, and all of a sudden she just goes, April Fools. And God. I shit you not, this doctor was like, damn it, and just turned around, stormed out, and as she walked, kicked a trash can and a Sharps container across the room and slammed the door.
I know you said you shit us not, but it would have been really funny if someone shit themselves.
Yeah, it would have been hilarious.
I'm just going to say that right
shit
now.
Themselves. Real quick, let's say hi to people in the chat. It's Moocher, Citizen, and I don't know how to say. I'm going to see
Suigetsu?
Suigetsu.
Suigetsu.
Yeah.
It's okay, Ben. You'll play enough JRPGs someday to just know how to speak Japanese. Yeah. Let's see. Any ones that you felt like were just like a flop? I know you probably did. Did you guys see the toilet paper one?
Yeah, I posted that one on or I shared it on Facebook. The sandpaper toilet paper.
Yep, quilted
all natural toilet paper.
Oh,
Yep.
Yes. I did see that one. Okay. I thought Google's VR one was kind of like it was like it's not really that funny at all.
Plastic cardboard.
The plastic cardboard, yeah.
You guys ever watch like the ones that WestJet has?
No.
I know it's an airline that none of you probably fly because we don't go to Canada that often. They introduced the snack delivering robot, Ralph, the robotic automated light food handler, where he just like zips up and down delivering snacks. I think that would be like really awesome to actually have.
Yeah.
But they had like a kid-free section a couple years ago. They had like free animal like check-in, or like you could bring any animal you wanted onto the plane for free. They had like goats and llamas and stuff like that. It was always pretty good.
Perfect. Real quick, those of you in the chat, share what your favorite April Fool's thing from this year was. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's gonna take a bit.
Yes.
Did you guys? I'm using it as the picture for the topic, but did you guys see how a bunch of different webcomics and stuff made the same webcomic for April Fool's?
Oh, that's hilarious.
And like a bunch. It was a bunch of different webcomics. They all made the same 4-panel comic in their style with their characters or whatever, but it's the exact same comic.
Oh, that's great.
Oh,
it's pretty cool.
Great.
I'll have to look at that because that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And the comic about April Fools, it's funny.
Who started it?
I don't know. I haven't looked into it to follow the thread, but I want to look into it and see if there is a story to it. If someone decided to do it and reached out or something, I don't know.
I'm scrolling through one set right now.
Yeah.
That's
all right. I think this is a good place to kind of move on to the next topic, though, unless you guys have more you want to say about April Fools.
Or if the chat chimes in.
Yeah.
I had too hype for you.
Hey, too hype.
Real quick, remember Nerdy Nights Radio is live on Twitch every Monday evening at 7:30 Pacific time, and you can be a part of the show by participating in the chat, just like Moocher and Too Hype for You and all these people are being in the chat.
Ben's like, I can't pronounce certain names. I'm just gonna skip them.
And it's kind of scrolled. I don't want to scroll. You can then find the show on YouTube at www.nkrn.org/YouTube, and of course the show goes live on iTunes and your favorite podcast subscription services of choice. Let's move on to topic number 2. Topic number 2 is my topic, and that is kind of the story about. Alison Rapp.
Mm-hmm.
Alison Rapp was a marketing person for Nintendo who was fired recently. She was the target of a lot of harassment over censorship over the past few months, and on Twitter the other day she wrote, "Today the decision was made. I am no longer a good, safe representative of Nintendo, and my employment has been terminated." Rapp seemed to really blame the people who were harassing her to getting what?
Yeah, I mean, like, some of this was the fact that she was getting harassed for stuff she didn't do, right?
Right.
Because, like, I think I read, like, one specific instance that the localization of, like, Xenoblade Chronicles X had, like, a boob slider that allowed you to adjust how, like, large the boobs were. And people blamed her for getting rid of it, and she was like, whoa, guys, like, I wanted the boob slider. Like, that was not me.
Not only does she support
I don't
it,
do localization.
Has nothing to do with localization whatsoever.
Well, she's on the marketing team. She's on the marketing side of the localization team.
Right.
So
but it has nothing to do with the game itself or the features of the game.
Right. She just became kind of a vocal person and the person that people targeted, because being in the marketing side, you're going to be more the face of it. So kind of what I want to talk about is, I mean, this is a huge invasion of privacy issue, kind of that I want to talk about. I mean, let's be honest. If you put your stuff on the internet, people are going to find it. You kind of can't get upset about it. I mean, I foresee one day, in the near future, where we're all super popular, where people are going to find the shit that we put on the internet and just start ripping us to shreds. But
I hope to have that problem one day.
I mean,
because they mean more popular.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much like invasion of privacy, but like doxing to like an nth degree, right?
Right.
I mean, even if you're not really being doxed in the concept that you are an online personality, but I mean, we've read stories about this for years about the people who like got fired for something they said at a conference, and the person in front of them tweeted it.
Social media, it's getting crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing is I think you just can't afford to have, you need to be able to separate that social presence.
And I mean,
if you are an external presence at a company.
Well, I think we're gonna, like, especially right now, we're gonna start getting to a place where, obviously, if you're a part of like the development team or something and you have a following, that's gonna be one thing. But as far as like PR and marketing people having a real presence, like a real personality presence, I feel like that's gonna go away because this kind of thing's gonna be a problem. We're gonna start seeing more, which, spoilers for later, we're gonna talk about Final Fantasy 15. We're going to start seeing more where you actually pick people out to do stuff. Like, they picked guys from Kind of Funny to do the show. They didn't just bring people from Square out to do it, right?
Yeah.
Because they already have their own presence, and what they say it doesn't fall back on Square, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So Moocher asks in the chat what actually got her fired.
So here's what Nintendo claims, and this is a direct quote from Nintendo, saying, quote, "Though Miss Rapp's termination follows her being the subject of criticism from certain groups via social media several weeks ago, the two are absolutely not related. Nintendo is a company committed to fostering inclusion and diversity in both our company and the broader video game industry, and we firmly reject the harassment of individuals based on gender, race, or personal beliefs. We wish Miss Rapp well in her future." That quote did not actually say why she was fired, and
the first part of the quote does. If you want to read that.
She was fired for supposedly moonlighting with another job.
Exactly.
That's what they said.
I mean, she claims on Twitter that that's almost encouraged in that culture, that a lot of people do it, which I wouldn't be surprised by.
Me neither.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. We don't know the company that she worked for. We don't know the nature of the company that she worked for. It could be a huge conflict of interest, the company that she worked for. And, I mean, here, like, the biggest thing about this is we don't know enough.
Right. But do you think if barring Nintendo, because I think this is totally typical of Nintendo. If it were some other company, don't you think they would like talk about what the company is and why it's a conflict? Like, say it's a conflict of interest, just so that they absolve themselves of the blame.
Well, I
Nintendo's
mean,
not going to do it. Nintendo's just going to keep their mouth shut because what do they have to gain or lose?
Really? I'm surprised Nintendo fired her. To be honest,
Me too.
I'm surprised they didn't somehow force her to quit.
Yeah, especially
which is a Japanese thing to do, yes. Right?
But I mean, she's also Nintendo of America, so it might not have come from Japan.
The other thing with this is, I'm going to go back to the invasion of privacy thing because, I mean, none of this really would have happened if people weren't so against her digging into her and trying to find these things. Because a huge thing that would have, it's not said, but it is probably a huge factor, is the fact that Nintendo might not have found all this stuff out if there weren't so many people just absolutely trying to destroy this woman. You know what I'm trying to say?
I think that's definitely possible, yeah.
Because, I
don't think what was happening, it was new. I think this was going on for a long time. And Nintendo might have already known about it, but this was an excuse to act on it or something, you know?
Sam Grizzle in the chat says she should be home cooking dinner anyways.
Great.
It's really nice of you, Sam.
I don't know. I mean, I think to that point, and I know we don't want to dive too far into it, but it was not as simple as we are not talking about right now, right?
Yeah. I mean,
if people want to go and look and read up on it, it's not as simple as people did not like her online and she got fired.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, but there's a point where you take it too far. I mean, granted, rap is not.
Though? Who is you? Like the internet? There's a point where the internet takes it too far?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm saying. But at the same time, Rap is not exactly making it easy on herself. She's pretty much posting everything that people are criticizing on the internet. One of the biggest things of controversy is a college essay she wrote in 2011 on. Mike, why don't you tell me, because you are better equipped to explain what this was.
I don't remember.
I
remember reading about the article itself, but I don't remember what it was.
She basically wrote a piece saying that you shouldn't hold Japanese cultural standards to the same kind of magnifying glass as you do American cultural standards, and specifically talking about depiction of child pornography.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Which, I mean, I understand where she's coming from as someone who was raised on that culture within anime, but yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to be punished for something you were saying that long ago. But I think there's also this side of it where she's not hiding. She didn't want to back down, right?
She's putting it on her LinkedIn profile. It's not exactly hidden from the world,
right? Which is kind of my point. Is that at some point, if you are the marketing arm of any company, in this day and age, how are you not smart enough to know that shit like that's going to get you in trouble?
Exactly. I do agree with that. But let's talk about what happened immediately after her being fired. She got fired, and there were developers that were kind of going to her aid and saying, "I'm sorry, Nintendo, we're not going to support your console anymore." I saw at least 3 tweets from different developers. Granted, 2 of them were indie developers, but 3 tweets total of saying, "Look, we're not going to support your console because the firing of this person is kind of crazy." And then that is when Nintendo comes up with this statement and talks about the moonlighting and all of that. I do find that a little...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know what you're
sketchy.
saying, but I don't think... I actually don't think it's wrong for Nintendo to have gotten rid of her.
Like, technically, no. Like, they were within their right to.
Yeah.
But, like we said before, I mean, that's the thing, was we don't know. As far as we know, it was for the moonlighting thing. And we don't know when moonlighting started or how they found out or whatever. But if it does go into more about this article she wrote in 2011, that you said something about it, it's linked on her LinkedIn profile? Like, it's a...
Yep.
So, like, it wasn't a secret at all. They would have known about that when they hired her, probably, if it's on her LinkedIn profile. So, if that's a factor, then that doesn't make any sense.
Darkseid said it was just indie devs that refused to work with Nintendo. Just to throw that out there for the listeners.
Big devs don't care.
Which is a great form of slacktivism or slacktivism. I mean, let's call that for what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's also be honest. The indie games are very much on the rise, and these weren't small indie developers. These are indie developers that I follow on Twitter,
right?
That were saying this, and I'm not following Joe Schmo's Game Shop.
I mean, I guess how many Nintendo games have they developed? A lot.
Not as many as I mean. And here's the big thing: Nintendo games aren't about third-party shit. Like Nintendo's a first-party platform. You don't.
Right.
They wish they were third party. They've never been able to be because they don't make good hardware.
And still, whether or not, I mean, yes, Sam, you're calling it slacktivism, but Nintendo didn't issue a statement until after a handful of these developers said they wouldn't be supporting Nintendo.
Which includes NX.
Yeah.
Which they're about to launch and they want to
No. I get that, but like, she is literally a byproduct of something she wrote about, which is basically like, don't hold Japan to American standards. How is that not the exact same thing Nintendo's doing? This is the Japanese standard for how you should behave in the organization. And if you don't get on board, we're going to get rid of you. We're not going to make comments unless we need to, unless we feel like there's a need to. Like it's not. This seems rather normal for a Japanese corporation. And I don't care if the argument is that, well, Nintendo of America did it. They still report through Nintendo in Japan, right?
Well, I mean, I disagree on that front. I mean, we obviously there's all conjecture, but on that front, Japan, they typically don't fire people. They'll make you a janitor and make you work for forever until you decide to quit before they fire you. And they fired her. They just got rid of her, cut her loose.
Yeah.
So I find that to be un-Japanese as far as that way is concerned. But I mean, we just saw that in Japan with Inafune a couple of years ago. Was it Inafune or it was Iga? The guy
Iga,
Castlevania. They literally just kept moving him around until he left, basically, and they kept canceling his games and stuff until he was ready to quit, and now he's doing Kickstarter stuff instead.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's not something that they would normally do. And again, this would be the conjecture of us not knowing what's going on.
Yeah,
I'm willing to bet that they offered her resignation a number of times, and it just was too difficult.
Maybe.
But
I just the whole thing for me is less about Nintendo's reaction than it is the internet's reaction, because I fucking hate the internet.
Well, okay, so
we wouldn't know about this unless it was for the internet side of it. And that's the only reason it's even a story.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, at what bar is it okay? At like what level would it be okay to get rid of someone for comments they made online?
I'm not, again, my criticism is not that she was fired. My criticism is that the way people treat other people on the internet. You keep going back to the termination of her. I don't care why they fired her. They fired her. They must have had a good reason. There are a lot of things we don't know.
We're talking more about the public hate of her.
Exactly.
Right. The shaming.
For seemingly no real reason. All of a sudden, the internet has just picked out this person, Alison Rapp, as this person that they just want to destroy. Mm-hmm. It's not about her losing her job. It's about her losing her sanity. And just getting her to leave the face of the internet.
Right.
Like that is that is what pisses me off.
So I guess that's the thing is like once things get started online, they can't be pulled back, right? And I think that's maybe the ultimate side of it. But I don't think it's as black and white as like the internet's overreacting to something that doesn't matter. Because I mean, you remember it was like Halloween a couple years ago with the Boston Marathon like bombing victim.
Yeah, that was also fucking horrible.
Yeah, I mean, but like the first stage of it was fine. The problem was that you can't stop something on the internet once you've started it. But isn't that the byproduct of free speech?
Yeah, Sam, but you still can't go into a movie theater and yell fire. It's essentially the same.
But you can go on to the internet and yell fire.
But should you be able to? Like that, I think that's really the question.
Free speech. That is a good question.
Free speech is not about being able to say whatever you want. It's about like being able to criticize things and analyze things without fear of repercussion.
I get that. I don't mean free speech in the literal term,
right.
But I mean free speech in the fact that pornography is a byproduct of free speech, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not like inherently, damaging. I suppose.
Exactly. You're not hurting.
There's a lot of people who would argue the opposite way of that.
Like revenge porn and stuff, yeah, but that's also and that goes right into this internet issue where it's a problem.
And to give you access to one thing, you create the avenue for the other. Unfortunately, right?
Right, but that's just like how we have rules about slander and libel and stuff too, and that's valid. Like you can fight that stuff. They're just not on the internet. Not really. It's Wild West still. As much as we think the internet has grown since we've got it, it's still very Wild West.
So, do you think if you introduced slander/libel into the realm of the internet, that we'd be better off?
I don't know if we even need to go as far as introducing those rules specifically, but I am someone who thinks that your name should stand behind what you say. I don't think like full anonymity is okay.
Anonymity. Yeah, I do agree with.
Like when people started bitching about was it on Xbox or like the real name ID like gamer tags? And
yes.
Stuff. I thought that I was totally okay with that. I want that. That would prevent people, at least the vast majority, from being online and on online games and being assholes. Because then we know who they are and just connect to their Facebook and it's almost the opposite where you can actually shame people that are being dicks instead of them just shaming people that they find because they can and they can be anonymous while doing it.
No, I agree. I just think when you take it to the other end of the extreme, as far as like, let's call it doing good online. I mean, let's say what she did or what anyone does isn't controversial. Let's say that it's agreed upon that it was a good thing. It would still be taking it too far. And I don't think a lot of people draw that distinction of like the positive side of the internet, but still taking it too far in terms of privacy. And that's where I think you really can't draw the line.
I think I lost you somewhere in that.
Yeah, I think I did too.
Like I feel like if it were the opposite way, where if she wasn't being attacked, then it would be a non-story. Like it wouldn't be under anyone's radar.
What I'm saying is there have been situations, and I struggle to think one in mind where people have cheered the internet on for doing things that are still taking that take something too far. And it could be something as simple as reporting a news article before it's confirmed that causes either panic or what brings to mind is the
do you mean something like WikiLeaks type of situation?
No.
Like Snowden?
I mean like when they were still chasing down the Boston Marathon bombers.
Uh-huh.
Right? Reddit was going to town trying to identify who it was, and then they identified the wrong person.
Yep.
Right, but that gets taken further when news corporations are taking that and showing it on TV and like spreading it as information when it's really could be localized to Reddit and get like proven wrong like pretty quickly officially.
And I mean, here's the thing: there's no accountability.
Yeah, exactly. There's no accountability on Reddit.
What happened to the people that misidentified the Boston Marathon bombers?
Nothing.
I agree.
What is going to happen to these people who are just like being complete assholes to Alison Rapp? Absolutely nothing, because nobody can actually figure out who the fuck they are.
But do you want accountability?
Yes, I want accountability.
If somebody's threatening someone over the internet, they're gonna fucking like come and kill them or take their head or whatever, which has happened to like these people before. They probably wouldn't do it like if they were like accountable for their actions by name or something. And if they did say it, then they're worth getting tracked down and caught, right?
Yeah.
I understand the principle when you're standing behind. I think the problem is it's too hard to create a rule set that could really be justified as fair.
Absolutely.
Like truly fair.
I will agree with that. I mean, and the thing with technology is it's exponential growth. It's Mike has talked about it before on the show. It's only going to get more high tech more quickly.
Yeah.
Sam Grizzle says yin yang, as great as technology, computers are equal and opposite bad applications, same as everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it to me it breaks down from like when you think of it from a fairness standpoint, is that in the U.S. we have this legal system that's goal is probably to keep innocent people out of jail, right?
Yeah,
and not necessarily to incarcerate people.
Well, the legal system's a whole nother fucking topic.
Right. But I mean, I think like when you break down a goal like that, it's what is the goal of the internet? To provide like an open platform for people, or to like restrict and limit?
For me, the intention and goal of the internet is to collect and share information.
You know what the goal of the internet for me is?
What information to
exactly what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
You know,
and for every one of us the three of us that are out here, there's another group of three who's spreading hate.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the only reason we get to do what we do.
Darktide in the chat brings up a good point. What do you do to someone you would catch? And it's like that. That is.
I think your answer would be prosecute.
Yeah, but we just need to figure out. There needs to be some sort of precedent, and someone smarter than me needs to figure that out.
Just banish them to the darknet.
Banish them to the dark zone.
The darknet.
Oh, darknet.
Yeah.
And I mean, Moocher brings up a thing that has been brought up in many different governments. What if every internet user had to register for an online ID, like a license? That way they couldn't be able to be abusive to others without repercussions. That's just like the technology in Ender's Game.
Yeah.
You know that piece of technology right there makes this 100 times worse, because it would be 100 times easier to do what you did to what the internet did to Alison Rapp to every one of us. That's what that system would do.
I mean,
anyways, talking about Square Enix.
So before we move on, here's the biggest way to prevent any of this.
Don't use the internet.
Don't put.
Go to NKRN.org and read our articles and watch our videos.
Yeah. Don't
listen to us. That is a good solution.
Don't put what you don't want on the internet. I mean, that is fact of the matter. I am a person that I'm going to be pretty open, and I don't really care what people say. Sam knows I don't care what people say about me all the time. So, there we go. Let's move on. Guys, real quick, don't forget to catch us on our other shows throughout the week. My sister Anna and I host a comic book club show that airs every Wednesday over at our YouTube channel, nkrn.org/YouTube. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, you can catch Mike hosting the Nerdy Nights Let's Play podcast. Right now, him and I are playing Final Fantasy VII. on the PS4, and it's my very first time playing any Final Fantasy game. So it's, or I guess playing through an entire Final Fantasy game.
Completion. Yeah.
To completion. So that's going on right now. I think we're on episode 12.
Live, yeah, I think 12 or 13.
Yeah. And all of these shows and more you can find at www.nkrn.org. Let's move on to the last topic of the evening, and that is Mike's topic. Mike, tell us about your topic.
So, my topic's a little broad, so I guess we can probably rein in a little bit on time. But I wanted to talk about Square Enix.
What is Square Enix?
What is Square Enix? They are Final Fantasy. They make all the Final Fantasy games and Dragon Quest games, and now they make like Tomb Raider and Hitman, and they do all kinds of shit now. But that's kind of what I'm trying to get into is, the past, I guess, decade or so, maybe eight years, has been a kind of dark time for Square Enix, specifically for Final Fantasy fans, for the JRPG fans.
I agree. I'm sorry.
Like Final Fantasy 12 and 13 and 13.2 and 13.3 and Final Fantasy All the Bravest and the weird ass games that aren't really highly regarded. Final Fantasy 15 or Final Fantasy Versus 13 kept getting delayed over and over again, and Kingdom Hearts 3 was nowhere to be seen.
Nowhere.
But this past year has been kind of crazy. 15's here. Kingdom Hearts 3 got announced. We're getting a Final Fantasy 7 remake, which is
cool.
Everybody's been waiting for a decade at least.
I'm actually starting to get excited.
Now Ben's excited for it.
Final Fantasy 7 remake. I can't wait to see what the differences are between Final Fantasy 7 and.
Oh, I know. And now you have a real pool of knowledge to look at, like cross-dressing Cloud and.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
And Dolphin
I have no idea how they're gonna make that.
Oh, they're gonna. They will. They have to. Anyway, so what I kind of wanted to talk about was like, is Square kind of making a comeback? Like, it might be a little too early to tell because 15's not here yet, and Kingdom Hearts isn't here yet, and Final Fantasy 7's not here yet. But the excitement's back. Like, people kind of already are kind of shedding off 13 and stuff and like not caring, and like people are really anxious to play these games again and have them show up finally. Is that something you guys kind of agree with? Like, do you think they're kind of pulling their stock back up again and getting the reputation back?
So I mean, here's the thing. I don't think anyone on this that has watched this show for a long time, Recruit, Citizen, has seen me as an overly optimistic person when it comes to any video games.
Division.
So, yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. I did this. I made this mistake with Batman vs Superman recently. I downplay everything that I see so much that I'm just like, this is probably not going to be as good as people want it to be. It's not going to be as good as people are expecting. Like, I don't buy tickets for the hype train.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, you don't ever have to. It's really easy to sit back and just throw shit from the cheap seats. Like, it always is, because there's always going to be some truth to what you're spewing. There always is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so I guess maybe it's the hype train, but I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal.
So the difference between you guys and me is you are much more invested in Final Fantasy as a series than I am. Even though I'm loving Final Fantasy 7, and I'm excited about these games, but Square Enix has a lot to make up for. And I don't think they're going to make as many people happy as they think they're going to make. Because
I would agree with that.
There's a lot of things in Final Fantasy VII that we know about it that is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Like the episodic aspect of it.
That we don't really know that means yet.
I mean, and who knows what they're going to cut, what they're going to keep. So there's going to be plenty. I would be willing to guess that it would be at least a third of the fan base who is upset by Final Fantasy.
Well, I mean, at the very least, we know that. Expecting that we'll still be around by then, because who knows when that game's coming out.
Sure.
It'll be heavily scrutinized, and by us, just like everyone else. And I think that's gonna be the weakness with that game. In the end, I think the game is gonna be fine. Really, like when you really boil it down and look at it, it's gonna be a good game. But it's so
it'll make money.
It's so anticipated and hyped. It's going to be scrutinized to shit. Like it's gonna be scrutinized worse than Batman Superman, which is being really scrutinized.
But I mean, I look at it this way: if you're looking in the video game scenario, right, and you look back to when, let's call it, when SquareSoft was in its heyday.
Yep.
And there was, and Game Informer or like whatever the magazine was at the time was like actually a good source of news for games before the internet days. Like the reason it was so powerful was because they would release something and you knew it was going to be good and you were just going to go buy it.
Yeah.
And now we're in this kind of like world where you got to fill every single niche out there. And so in doing that, they have to alienate people. Mm-hmm. So I guess the question becomes like, will they ever make a game? Or will they ever go back to the strategy of saying, like, let's just make good stuff that everyone's going to want, and not worry about filling the niches that are niche, the Ben version of the Batman versus Superman, right?
See, I think it does seem like that's what's going on, but if you look at a game like 13, there is a niche out there that loves that game, that thinks it's a great Final Fantasy game, and I don't hate it. I can criticize it heavily, and I know why it's bad. I know why people don't like it. I played through the game twice, like fully, almost 100%. And I played it 13.2, and I have 13.3, and I'm still slowly working my way through it. So, are they not catering to that niche? They made 3 13 games for this tiny pie of people that loved it.
Oh no! That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Do you think they'll abandon that strategy going forward? Oh,
I think if you think of them having abandoned, or like they already did, in the mainstream mindset, they abandoned it at 10. Like 10 was like the last real Final Fantasy game.
No, agreed. Yeah. Right,
but I'm not sure if that's really true. I think that's just us looking through it at a different lens now. Now the games are obviously different. Go ahead,
Mike. Darktide wants to know, and I know you have. That's why I'm going to ask it. Have any of you got the mobile game or played the demo?
Mobile game?
I'm assuming he's talking about Final Fantasy 15 demo.
I've played both demos for 15. I'm trying to find in the chat where he said what he said.
It's the most recent thing.
Most recent post.
Have any of you got the mobile game or played demo? Have any of you got the mobile game? You should clarify what you mean by that.
I think he's talking about the mobile game that they're putting in conjunction with
15,
Final
the new
Fantasy
one?
15.
I don't think it's out yet.
It's a mini game,
I don't
right?
think it's out yet.
Justice Monsters 5. I don't think that's out yet. I will get it when it comes out because I'm loving 15. I played episode 2 and I love it. I've played Platinum and look forward to a video on Platinum soon on nkrn.org/YouTube. I don't like Platinum as much as the original Duske, which has me a little worried. But I'm not real. Like I still like it. Like it still feels good. Like the game feels better. I just don't like the way they changed the controls, which we might be able to modify in the real game. So I'm not really worried about it. Yes, I love 15 so far. Even as a normal Final Fantasy game, which this game is not very much normal Final Fantasy. I love what this game is, and I can't wait for it.
Yeah,
they got me back with it easily.
You know, I don't even know what I'm gonna say. You know, going back to what I was saying about me not jumping on the hype train, real quick, I do want to say I don't believe that this is going to do as badly as I believed The Division would be.
Yeah.
My big thing with The Division was Ubisoft's history. Square Enix lately. I mean, Mike, you asked me if this is Square Enix's comeback. I don't think this is Square Enix's comeback. I think Square Enix's comeback started 4 years ago when Tomb Raider came out. The remake of Tomb Raider, and they are doing all of the right things. They're doing great with Tomb Raider. Even Rise of the Tomb Raider's pretty good.
Yeah.
What is it? Life is Strange is wonderful.
Yep.
Hitman is not terrible.
I love Hitman. Don't hate on Hitman.
I wasn't hating on Hitman. I literally just said Hitman is not terrible.
It's good. It's good.
Okay.
So
I'm with you there. Yeah. I think the comeback has already started. The only deficit I see with them right now, as far as like all of their overall, is that they're announcing stuff too early. I think that's an issue.
Well, I mean, that's
15 got announced too early.
So, and you know how much
but these are really early.
Yeah. Well,
Kingdom Hearts got announced before they had anything, and then seven, like, it's amazing that we've already seen stuff for 7, but the night that 7 got announced and they showed that trailer, the next day we were already seeing interviews with the director of the game that was like, I didn't even know I was directing it. They came to me that night. Like they had nothing for that game when they announced it, which is too soon. Like, they shouldn't even be talking about it at that point. But they built the hype train already instantly because they knew they could.
I mean, I've talked all the time about how I think that games are announced too early because I mean, there are so many good examples. The Last Guardian, hell, Uncharted 4 at this point. How many times has that game been delayed?
4.
Yeah, but I still don't think that was announced too early.
No,
their timetable's not long enough for it to have been too early.
Mass Effect Andromeda, I think that was announced too early.
Oh yeah, they also didn't have anything when they talked.
They had nothing to show.
Yeah.
Star Wars Battlefront announced too early.
Also released too early, but that's a different issue.
Yes. Well, because they announced it, and then all of a sudden they had to make this game.
Yeah.
So they kind of did the exact opposite of what Square Enix does with Final Fantasy. They announce it, don't have anything, and then they're like, shit, we got to crank out a game in the next 2 years. Whereas Square Enix
7's come out, we better hurry up.
It's like, at least Square Enix is, trying to put out a good product.
Yeah.
No, I mean, my faith is not lost in Square Enix like it was in Ubisoft.
True.
And my faith is still not restored in Ubisoft. But, time heals all wounds.
Hopefully.
Except for you.
I just want time to heal all Animus wounds.
Well, we're getting a year. So
don't worry.
We'll see what happens.
Templars are giving up.
This is true.
So yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, what do you think, Sam? I think we're at a general consensus that yes, they are. They already have come back already. They're still building to a.
I mean,
I
think that's the thing, right? It's like, because game studios get so much benefit of being bigger and having scale, it doesn't make sense to be a company that really pumps out only the best thing all the time.
Oh yeah.
Because if you are, you're not trying, right? You're probably taking one recipe and just duplicating it until people get tired of it. So not having failures, people don't remember the horror. Like, I don't think Squaresoft was ever remembered for the horrible games that came released, and there were a ton of them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a great step in the right direction, and I think we'll. I'm gonna play 15. It'll be exciting.
Oh yeah.
Oh and remake.
What? 6 more months? 7 more months? It's April.
It's September, right? September.
Yeah.
5 months.
5 months.
5 months.
Is that right?
End of
end of September. 6 months.
It's end of September. Yeah.
Holy shit! I never put a number to it. I'm super excited.
Boom!
Half a year.
Drop the mic. Mute the thread.
Ugh.
Sorry.
All right, guys. I think this is a good point to wrap up.
Yes. Agreed.
Real quick, guys. Thank you so much for joining us.
Remember, you can find tonight.
We did. We had some great activity and great interaction, and I love that you guys were there to see us through. Remember, you can find us all over the internet, because we don't hide stuff and we don't care if you make fun of us. You can find Sam Chen pretty much everywhere on the internet as DJ Fluffkins. And
you just doxed my last name. No, I'm just kidding.
Don't worry. Sam is very fair. Just so everyone knows, he's fair.
You need to go back and count it. Count it for this episode. I don't know how many times I said it, but Sam, I don't think it was a lot.
No, you didn't say it a lot. I would have called you out on it every single time, I promise.
Our 9 views of Patreon's not big enough to go back and count stuff in episodes. We don't have time for that.
And a very special thanks to Mike, who is on the show, but he's also the one running the stream, making sure that the show looks as wonderful as it does. You can find him on the internet, on Twitter, at Mike V. That's MAIKV. And you can follow me on Twitter pretty much everywhere, or Twitter, Instagram, whatever, at BRidiculous. That's BRIDDICKULOUS. You can follow everything Nerdy Nights related on Twitter at nerdy_nights. You can also visit our website, www.nkrn.org, for all of your content, including Batman vs. Superman spoiler casts or anything that you really want to see. Thanks again, everyone. It's been an excellent night, and I officially dubbed the Nerdy Knights of the Round. Go out and defend the realm of the Nerdy Knights, and until next week, remember, it's dangerous to go alone.